Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into something that's happening in our oceans, something you probably haven't thought much about, but it's a huge deal. We're talking about oxygen. Yep, the same stuff we breathe. Turns out the ocean needs to breathe too, and right now it's starting to have trouble catching its breath. So, picture this, vast areas of the ocean, teeming with life, from tiny plankton to massive whales. Everything in this incredible underwater world relies on dissolved oxygen to survive, just like we rely on the oxygen in the air. But here's the kicker. The ocean is losing its oxygen. Scientists call this phenomenon ocean deoxygenation, and it's creating what are essentially dead zones, areas where oxygen levels are so low that most marine life simply can't survive. It's like trying to run a marathon while holding your breath. Impossible, right? Now, you might be wondering, how is this even happening? Well, there are two main culprits, and they're both linked to human activities. The first one is something you've definitely heard of: climate change. As our planet warms up, so do our oceans. And here's a simple bit of physics for you. Warmer water can't hold as much dissolved gas, including oxygen, as colder water can. Think about a can of soda. If you leave it out in the sun, it goes flat way faster than one in the fridge, right? That's because the warm liquid releases its carbon dioxide bubbles. The same principle applies to oxygen in the ocean. As the sea surface heats up, it struggles to hold on to its oxygen, and less oxygen from the atmosphere can dissolve into it. But that's not all. A warmer ocean also becomes more stratified. Imagine your coffee with a layer of cream on top. It's hard to mix them without stirring, right? In the ocean, a warm surface layer acts like that cream, sitting on top of the colder, deeper water. This layering makes it incredibly difficult for the oxygen-rich surface water to mix down into the deeper parts of the ocean where it's needed most. So, the deep sea, which is home to so many bizarre and wonderful creatures, is literally being starved of oxygen. The second big driver is nutrient pollution. This sounds complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. It comes from things like agricultural fertilizers from farms and wastewater from our cities. When it rains, these nutrients, mostly nitrogen and phosphorus, get washed into rivers and eventually end up in the ocean. Now, you might think, aren't nutrients good? Well, yes, but too much of a good thing can be a disaster. In the ocean, these excess nutrients act like a super fertilizer for algae. This leads to massive algal blooms, which can sometimes be so big you can see them from space. They look like a thick green or brown soup on the water surface. The problem starts when all this algae dies, and it all dies eventually. When it does, it sinks to the bottom and an army of bacteria gets to work decomposing it. The catch? These bacteria are oxygen hogs. They consume a massive amount of dissolved oxygen in the process of breaking down the dead algae. This is what creates those intense, localized dead zones, especially in coastal areas. The Gulf of Mexico has a famous one that appears every summer, sometimes growing to the size of a small state. It's a tragic cycle. We fertilize our land, which then over-fertilizes the sea, leading to these suffocating underwater deserts. So what does this mean for the creatures living in the ocean? It's not pretty. For animals that can move, like fish, crabs, and squid, the first instinct when oxygen levels drop is to flee. They try to find water where they can still breathe. This forces them into smaller and smaller areas, which can lead to overcrowding and increased competition for food. It also makes them much more vulnerable to fishing, as they're all packed into predictable locations. It's like all the fish in a giant aquarium being forced into one tiny corner. But what about the slower-moving or stationary creatures? Things like corals, sea anemones, clams, and starfish? They can't just pick up and leave. When the oxygen runs out, they're trapped. They suffocate. This leads to mass die-offs, wiping out entire ecosystems. Imagine vibrant coral reefs bursting with color and life, slowly turning into graveyards. It's devastating, and it's happening right now in different parts of the world. Even the survivors aren't necessarily okay. Low oxygen levels, even if not lethal, can cause serious stress. It can stunt growth, make it harder for animals to reproduce, and make them more susceptible to diseases. Scientists have found that fish living in low-oxygen environments are smaller and have fewer offspring. This isn't just bad for the fish. It has a ripple effect all the way up the food chain. Think about it. Smaller fish mean less food for bigger fish. marine mammals like seals and dolphins, and seabirds. It disrupts the entire web of life that has been balanced for millennia. And it doesn't stop there. This affects us too. Billions of people around the world rely on the ocean for their food and their livelihoods. Commercial and recreational fishing are massive industries. When fish stocks decline because their habitats are becoming unlivable, it threatens the food security and economic stability of coastal communities everywhere. So, this whole deoxygenation thing is a silent but deadly threat. Unlike an oil spill, you can't see it. The water might look perfectly fine from the surface, but underneath, life is struggling for every last molecule of oxygen. The good news is, we know what's causing the problem, which means we know how to start fixing it. It's a two-pronged attack, just like the causes. First, we have to tackle climate change head-on. This is the big one. Reducing our carbon emissions by switching to renewable energy sources like solar and wind, improving energy efficiency, and protecting forests are all crucial steps. By slowing down the warming of our planet, we can slow down the warming of our oceans, which will help them hold more oxygen and reduce that stratification effect. Second, we need to get a handle on nutrient pollution. This means revolutionizing our agriculture. We need smarter farming practices that use fertilizer more efficiently, so less of it runs off into our waterways. Planting cover crops and restoring wetlands and buffer zones along rivers can act as natural filters, capturing these nutrients before they ever reach the sea. It also means upgrading our wastewater treatment plants to be better at removing nitrogen and phosphorus before the water is discharged. These are huge, systemic changes, and they won't happen overnight. But individual actions, when multiplied by millions of people, can create a powerful wave of change. Being conscious of your carbon footprint, supporting policies that promote clean energy, and being mindful of what goes down your drain all contribute. Spreading awareness is also key. The more people who understand this problem, the more pressure there will be on governments and industries to act. This isn't some distant, abstract problem. This is about the health of our planet's life support system. The ocean gives us more than half the oxygen we breathe, regulates our climate, and provides food for billions. It's our partner, and right now it's telling us it's in trouble. It's our responsibility to listen and to act before these silent dead zones spread even further. We need to let our ocean breathe again. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to learn about this important issue. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the world around us. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.